Right on. Okay, so I think I was saying, oh, detoxing. Okay, so let me just share my screen. Hopefully that doesn't mess it up again. Here's Marianne, share. Okay, you guys are here. Awesome. Okay, so fasting, one of the huge benefits is that it supports the body's natural detox system. Detoxing is one of the things that drives me crazy when people buy supplements for it or buy like a juice cleanse or some kind of detox like that. You don't have to buy anything to detox. Our body has all the ingredients to do it. However, it just needs a clear playing field. And I like to think about it as our body is a house or, a beautiful temple, and it has all the organs to do the detox. That's like the cleaning lady. But if you've ever had a cleaning lady, you have to pick up before the cleaning lady comes, right? She does not come to pick up. She's not the pickup lady. She has to have like a clean slate so she can vacuum and dust and wash the floors and everything. So that's kind of how our body works. It's either digesting or detoxing. So if you give it a break from digesting, it can switch over to that detox mode and do its own natural detoxification procedure and get rid of the toxins that are stored in cell fat or in the fat cells. And that really helps with cancer prevention and cellular repair. So that is a huge benefit of intermittent fasting or fasting in general. Also can release the fat burning hormone norepinephrine. So again, like two things that are releasing fat boosting hormones here. It may increase your metabolism by 3 to 10%. Of course, we just talked about 2 fat burning hormones. So it could just be those hormones, but also those were some of the studies I mentioned where they're done on men, mice, and postmenopausal women. So 3 niche groups, not on the broader segment of population. And then the last one is just overall weight loss. It's shown to cause weight loss of 3 to 8%. However, this might just be due to lower calories. So, it could be a combination of things. The science is still kind of developing, but overall, there are a lot of potential benefits. So the biggest benefit is the reducing the insulin resistance. So the studies show that insulin resistance goes down 3 to 6% and decreases 20 to 31% in fasting insulin levels. So I already sort of explained before what this means and why it's such a good thing. But just to reiterate, when insulin resistance goes down or insulin sensitivity goes up, it means that our body is able to grab those carbs that are coming in and use them for fuel. If insulin resistance is high or sensitivity is low, it means that those carbs coming in are going to bypass being used as fuel and just get stored as body fat, which is what we want to avoid. So the body is most sensitive to insulin following a period of fasting. And also after a workout, because the glucose in the muscles, the fuel that our body uses, is all used up. So it's a great time to have those carbs that we want and have that delicious post-workout fuel, or literally, break your fast with a nice high carb meal. The second big benefit to it is that it helps stick to a daily calorie goal. And this is really good for people who are trying to hit certain macros, but you find you're going over your macros repeatedly. So with the same amount of calories and the same amount of macros, just in a shorter time frame, you can have bigger meals, might feel more satisfied after each meal, like you're actually eating, not like you're having a bunch of small meals. It also makes you have less of a focus on food because you're just not spending that much time planning meals, cooking, prepping, cleaning up. It's easier to go to restaurants. If you're someone who's always on the go and eating like convenience foods or restaurant foods, it might be a lot easier to hit those macro targets if you're only having fewer hours a day where you're eating. It's also good for people who just hate tracking macros, but they're trying to do it because they believe that is the way to be in a deficit and to lose weight, because there's just less to track and less, admin work of calculating tracking, weighing, and measuring. So if you are sick and tired of tracking your macros, it might be time to do a little intermittent fasting. Okay, I mentioned this already, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it. There are some issues with intermittent fasting research. There's just not that many studies. The existing studies are super small, like 20 participants, stuff like that. So take it with a grain of salt, not as like God-given truth, and try it, listen to your body, and observe the feedback that your body is giving you. Because no matter how many research studies are out there, everyone's bodies are unique. Everyone's lifestyle is unique. The food that you eat, what your body thrives on is unique. And hopefully I've kind of drilled that in over the last 12 weeks, that it's really about taking these principles, trying them on, seeing what works for you, and then sticking with what works, what serves you, and letting go of the rest. But in order to do that, it takes work to try and then pay attention and then adjust as necessary. Okay, so if you are interested in trying intermittent fasting, if you think this might work for you, might be a good idea, how to get started. The best way to get started is to observe your current feeding window, just like we did when we started, and we just started tracking our macros in order to observe them and see where we were as a baseline. You can do that here and see. And a good way to start, a very simple way to start, is like a 12-12 day, where you're eating from like 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., something like that. If nothing else, doing a 12-12 eating window might prevent late night snacking or binging, if that's something where you're like, find yourself always, going to the kitchen for that late night snack, just mentally telling yourself, okay, I'm eating from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and then I'm checking that box on MyFitnessPal and closing the day of eating. That's been really helpful for some of my clients. Gradually, you could try moving closer to a 16-8. That's kind of considered optimal, where you're fasting for 16 hours and then eating for 8 hours. So again, it's really about what works for you. It could be noon till 8 p.m. It could be 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. It could be, anything that works for you. But I really want you to pay attention to your body. If you're like dead set on not eating until noon and you're just raging, starving, and having an upset stomach because you had 2 cups of coffee at 11 o'clock, then eat at 10 o'clock. You know what I mean? You just have to kind of pay attention to what's going on. And it's never all or nothing. So you could just do weekends. You could say, like, on the weekends, I do this and I have brunch and I have dinner. I usually end up doing that inadvertently on Sundays anyway. When you're doing this intermittent fasting, and honestly, all the time, make sure you're flushing your system with lots of water. That's going to help with the detoxification process. So during that fasting time period, lots and lots of water. Heat is really good too, whether you're doing sauna therapy or, just staying cozy with lots of layers. That'll help, sweat and flush those toxins out. Maybe it's time for a workout or like a hot yoga session, something like that. Don't try to do like a ton of fasted workouts or fasted cardio. That is essentially like working out with no fuel. It's like going on a road trip with no gas in your tank. But you could do like a gentle yoga that's like hot, or more of like sauna, something like that. Sometimes, again, it all depends on you. Your body might be totally used to it. I rode for 4 years in college. I never once ate a thing before practice. Never once. And I was fine. I was totally used to it, but then I had a huge, big breakfast afterwards. Some people can't work out without having like at least a half a banana or granola bar or something. So again, what works for you. As always, give yourself grace. You're trying something new, you're A, learning something, and B, seeing if it works for you. So if you mess it up, like, don't feel bad, just keep trying. There's a couple exceptions to the fasting. Obviously, lots and lots of water. Coffee is fine. Most people drink coffee in the morning. Even you could put a little creamer in it. Try to keep under like 50 calories to stay in that fasted state. Same thing if you pre-workout and you're going to work out, that's okay too. I probably wouldn't do like 4 cups of coffee and a pre-workout, just keep it 1 or 2 that you need to like get your day going. And then break your fast with a healthy choice, because your body is going to be gobbling up whatever you put into it. And you might think like, oh, I just fasted for so long, I'm going to have like, this giant lumberjack breakfast or whatever. You'll probably find that your appetite is actually not that big. Your stomach shrunk a little bit, and having some like greasy stuff to start it off is not going to feel very good. But if you make some good choices to break that fast, it's going to really amplify the benefits of the fasting. So takeaway, give it a try, listen to your body, observe, what your body's telling you, and then just take what serves you and let go of the rest. It is also possible, this is sort of like a next level thing, to fast with your cycle if you're still, getting your menstrual cycle and cycling regularly. And what that would look like, if you're interested, reach out to me and I can recommend a book and go into more detail, is doing like a 24-hour fast for 1 day per week during the luteal/progesterone phase. So that's the second 2 weeks of your cycle from ovulation to day 1 of your period. That's when your body's less able to handle carbs. It's more in that nesting phase. You're not really as adventurous or energetic as you are during those first 2 weeks. So it's a good time to have lower calories. But even then, I wouldn't want anyone as a woman, to do like completely no calories for a day. If you're trying this, I recommend like 400 to 500 calories total throughout the day, with like a 80 to 100 calorie snack every couple of hours. That is macro balance. So you're still getting protein, carbs, and fat. So it could be like nuts or, full fat yogurt or bone broth, something like that, just so your body doesn't think it's completely being starved. If you're fasting, drink warming drinks to help your body stay warm and also help your body detox. So stuff like warm water with lemon, hot tea, hot coffee, chicken broth, bone broth. It's really common to feel chilly on fasting days. And if you're doing this longer fast, after 8 hours, you'll probably start to feel hungry, maybe before 8 hours, but that's the point where all the glucose in your system is probably used up, and your body's going to switch over to those ketones and switch to a deep fat burning mode for the rest of the day until you break the fast. So again, I don't recommend doing this more than once every 2 weeks, 2 times during your cycle. And if you're doing it, make sure you're still eating a little bit and staying super duper hydrated, and don't go longer than 1 day. Anything that's talking about fasting longer than that is based on research for men, and their bodies are different. For women are going to start backfiring and really holding on to that fat because of everything we talked about last week, where our body thinks like, oh, I need to store this fat so I can create the next generation of humans. Okay, on that note, that is all I have about fasting. I would love to hear if any of you have any questions, or if you think you might be interested in trying, or if you have tried it, what your experience is. But that's all I have for tonight.
I'll share really quickly. I mean, it's going to be hard to say, one thing is causally connected to the other, but I had a coworker, gosh, in this COVID vortex, it's hard to guess the time. I would say like 4 to 6 years ago, who thought intermittent fasting was like the bee's knees for diabetes intervention. And, we're healthcare lawyers and work in health policy. And he was like, we could sell this to state Medicaid agencies and get them, to save all this money on diabetes. That's a very long intro to say, he was like pushing it as like a health policy intervention. And so I tried it. Again, I would say this was probably 2018. I don't think I ever did more than a 16-hour fast, and I would only do like 2 to 3 days a week. Let's say I tried it for a couple months. Anyway, my thyroid levels were really bad, like high. I had never had thyroid issues, and my TSH like went right up. Like I just happened to have a physical after, like that was already scheduled. Hard to say what my results would have been, had I not been doing this. But I never really tried it again after, and my thyroid levels, and I've had my thyroid retested a few times because they were just starting to venture into abnormal territory. So my experience is like, I am pretty scared to do any kind of intermittent fasting that's like maybe more than 1 day a week. Like I remember going down some internet rabbit holes and finding that this actually could happen, because exactly like you were saying, Annie, like your body can go into high, like overdrive, because it thinks it's starving. It's like, it
Yes.
was very stressful on my body. So if I were to ever try it again, I think I would like make sure I tried it before a physical, and maybe I would do like 1 day a week, for like a month or two before, and then my physical, to make sure that my thyroid levels were not being negatively affected.
Yeah. That is really interesting to know. I'm sorry that you had that experience, but yeah, that's exactly it. And I hear a lot of people talking about like, I'm just doing intermittent fasting, or when I was a trainer, I had a client who would come to me and she couldn't get through her workouts because she's like, I don't eat until 1. And I was like, why? Like, you don't have to do that, and so, like anything, people don't pay attention and don't, or take it to the extreme. I do think giving your body a break from digesting so it can switch over to detox can be really good, but you can do that on 12-12, which really isn't probably different than how most people eat. Like,
Right.
you know what I mean? So just doing something mild like that, just to make sure your body's not always digesting. But if you're getting a good
The
amount
other
of sleep,
thing,
you're probably doing that naturally.
the other thing I'll say, just because I think, my situation could have been extreme or unique, is I think I was still running. It wasn't while I was training for a marathon, but like I was running regularly. I would never run fasted because I just like, it's not fun. But I think like talking about like all the things that could stress our bodies out. I probably had enough other little stressors, and that just seemed to put me over. Again, I will never know, like, did I just have a weird set of blood work, or was it the fasting? But
Yeah.
once I did a little bit of research and found out that that for women, there are special considerations, I was like, I'm good. We're just not gonna, I don't want to mess with my thyroid. Like,
Yeah.
that was
I'm glad you
sort of
found that
the
out.
end of it.
Were there any symptoms that you noticed before the doctor did the blood work, like that caused you to
No.
have that happen? Okay.
No, I mean, I thought I felt great. Everything felt great. I was like, wow, my coworker, he's onto something. This is interesting. I mean, I can't say like I wasn't really doing it so much for weight loss, and I don't think that I like lost a notice. Like I didn't really weigh myself, but like if I look back to that season in my life, I don't think that I lost a noticeable amount of weight. Everything seemed to be fine. And then I just had my annual physical, and I was like, my doctor's office, everything is graphed. And I just like saw the graft results and was like, oh my God. And then, started to look into it a little bit more, and was just like, yeah, no, we're not going there, because it just wasn't worth the risk of like long-term thyroid issues.
Yeah, it's crazy. Well, I'm glad you found that out. And yeah, it can be
And have never had an issue since. So that's positive.
good. Well, yeah, I mean, and I think that's the thing, is like anything, and I'm not saying you took it to the extreme, but I see a lot of people taking fasting to the extreme, which is why, I like to just go over like, here's the potential benefits, but here's also the potential dangers or cons of it as well. It's not a magic pill for fat loss, but can be helpful, can be not. You just have to listen to your body and like really pay attention. Okay, you guys, I'm gonna end it right there. I just want to say again, thank you so much to all of you. thanks for joining me. Thanks for trusting me with your health and to guide you through your, goals, your fat loss, weight loss, health goals. I am so passionate about this work. I love doing it, and it's been really wonderful working with all of you. Oh, and I do want to say also, please, even if you feel like, oh, I didn't have like the best transformation, please answer the questions and put your ending weight measurements, because it's really helpful to me to see that and to see, the results, and helps me figure out how to make this program better and better serve other women in the future. And if you're interested at all, curious, or have just questions about joining us for level 2, to continue working through all these things and life as it comes up and as goals change, just reach out to me sometime this week, and we'll take a week off and then start the next week, which I think is the week of the 18th. Okay. All right, you guys have a great night. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
all
you.
amazing. Thank you, Annie.
Wait, I want to take a picture before everybody goes. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay. Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Thank you.